So hello everyone. Staying relevant in the age of AI is a sort of subject we're going to talk about today, and most specifically, the subject I want to talk is much more staying relevant in the age of AI in the workplace. I've been kind of fascinated with AI since I've been known to the subject about 10 years ago, and it kind of fascinated me. And it fascinated me in many aspects, whether it's in entertainment, in technology in general, but also how it's going to impact businesses, our society, and our minds. And most specifically, what I want to discuss today with you is how AI is going to impact the workplace and how we're not prepared to face this imminent disruption, in my opinion. The problem that I see for me is that over the years we had computing power has increased exponentially. You probably heard the Moore's law. So Moore's law that says that the doubling of the transistor into a microchip will double every 2 years. So uh, people actually said that it's not even more relevant now because we actually passed that. So we're not more doubling every 2 years, but even more than that, especially for example with Apple new M1 micro chip that we see that it goes beyond those power. So anyway, the bottom line is that we see this computing power that increase exponentially, and we see also the costs that decrease below inflation. So most of our technology, whether it's consumer technology or technology in industrial aspects or for businesses, goes cheaper than inflation. So on the other hand, our brain power, which intelligence, doesn't really increase and increases marginally. And most of what we can observe with statistics is that we kind of go about 3 IQ points per 10 years. So that's nothing, especially compared to AI. Our IQ doesn't really grow that much. And if it grows really, really marginally. And also, on the other hand, our wages and education fees increase above inflation. So wages increase above like 20% above inflation, and education is through the roof. I mean, in some countries, in some especially post high school education, is around 200% above inflation. So it costs much more to train us and to hire us. So we can clearly see a trend that the power goes up. So like the computing power goes up for technology, for computers, AI, and the prices goes down. And on the other hand, us, we kind of stay stable, and some would argue even we go down. And the wages and the education fees also goes up. So at one point, those two lines will cross, and that's really where a lot of people are debating. But I don't think that's subject to debate. It would kind of the same debate we would use for climate change that we had for over the years. It's like it's not going to happen in our century. We should not worry about that now. It's going to happen later. That's just a selfish argument. And I think we should really focus on how we can retrain and change our way of thinking so we can really compete with AI. Because for the first time in history, for a very long time, actually, human species have competition. So before that, we've kind of been dominating the world. I mean, there's no species that come near us, and now we have this technology that is really in its infancy. I mean, it's about like 70 years old. Like if you think of the first computer, so we're already into still the linear growth of AI, and us, we're way above our exponential. We're really into the static, if we could say, part of our growth. So there's not much left we can do as a human. We've pretty much kind of stopped our evolution, but us, the AI is just beginning and will get stronger and stronger. So we need to take the opportunity to face that and really rethink what it means to be human and what we should really focus on so we can prepare the next generation to face AI. So that's kind of the problem. And my solution, it's really what I just explained, is to dramatically pivot our education system. So to focus on the right skills that will maximize a competitive advantage against AI and leverage technology for intelligence amplification. So I'm not going to go over this concept of intelligence amplification. We don't have the time today to go into details, but kind of response to AI. We have also this concept of IA, so intelligent amplification, which is the use of information technology to amplify cognitive abilities. And I think that those two things, so really retrain and focus on what makes us great, and leverage the technology to kind of empower those skills that makes us really competitive, it will build a foundation to join AI. And now let's go a bit into sci-fi mode for a second. But the idea of that is, if we look at all the technology that we have, whether it's a computer or an iPhone or a smartphone, the problem that would always be if we stick with those things is the latency and the bandwidth. So we use computers with our thumbs, with our fingers. So the input is very, very slow. Whereas AI is directly connected, the input and the output is directly connected. It's the same machine. Us, we have the input that is very slow, which is us, and then the machine does most of the output. But that's what we're trying to reduce. And you've seen, for example, with Facebook, with the glasses, that they're trying to go less and less with those bulky things, because there's so much you can do, there's so much you can evolve with a smartphone. If you go too big, that's too bulky. If you put it too small, we don't see anything. So we kind of really maximize the utility of an iPhone, and the same thing goes for computers. There's no much more room to improve the efficiency of those things. So it will change the technology to get more and more better bandwidth and better latency. And overall, what we see this trend going is to have, for example, we have like Neuralink, Elon Musk, a company that implant a chip into our brain so we can be directly connected with AI, with computing powers. And eventually, that's not in a so distant future, but eventually also we can even think of us uploading directly into a computer. And that can sound some science fiction, and that's for a different topic, a whole different discussion. But I think it's really inspiring, and we should really look forward to this day, because that will makes us that's the only solution to makes us relevant to AI. But before that, let's just really focus on changing our education system to really focus on things that makes us great, and understand the technology that will really improve our productivity. So my objective for this talk is really try to kind of give a structure, a framework on the why, the what, and the how. So the why, the what, and the how of your transformation. And if I can really put it into a one sentence, and that's really what you could see when you think of innovation, for example, a transformation of any great company or any great technology, is that our goal as a society, as whether you're a student, whether you're a newcomer into the market, whether you are also a trained manager who want to look at his company objectively and really try to upskill his employees, is we should all strive to uniquely improve relevance and efficiency with emerging tech universal principles. So I'm going to break down those things with you over the next slide, but just keep in mind that really the main goal, whatever you are, is whether you're trying to be a great employee or to start a business, you should always try to uniquely improve something, whether with a product or services, to increase the relevance and efficiency of your clients, of your consumer, of your user, with emerging tech and those universal principles. So those things that makes us great as a human species. So let's break them down. What I mean by uniquely. So uniquely, that's the why. That's your purpose. So it doesn't really matter your what or your how. So it doesn't matter what you do or how you do it. What a lot of people care is your why, like why you do it, and that's your, as I say here, your brand, your experience, what you experience with people. It's your passion, your curiosity. It's the things that makes you unique, authentic, and inimitable. It's really true when you think of you maybe heard of people saying, oh, people, they hire people, they don't hire based on the job posting, or finding a candidate on job board. They really find people on based on who they know. It's really true, and it's not about knowing the right people, although there's a certain component to that. What it gives is this sense of trust. And before going into the workplace, before even thinking of how can we compete with AI, before thinking of how can we have a competitive advantage, you need to think, why you're going to the workforce in the first place. It cannot just be because you want to have a paycheck and you want to pay bills and have money and be successful, for example. You need to find something that goes beyond just personal satisfaction, because that what will attract people to join you or to hire you, or to collaborate with you. So it's really the first thing, as either as us as a society or on a personal level, we need to find our purpose, what is our responsibility. You got to wake up in the morning and really find a purpose for your jobs, and think, how can I bring something different, a valuable experience to my clients in a very different way that will make me unique, that even someone do it better or in a very different way, they will still be hesitant to switch, because they will see me as this kind of authentic person that really has his value deep into himself, and sticks with what he believes, and that inspires people and motivates people. I mean, that's the greatest company, right? It's Apple, it's Tesla, it's those companies that they other people make cars, they make great cars, other people make great electronic components, but why they have this such a cult following is their purpose, that is at the art. It's their brand that really sticks with people, and that makes their people uh, uh, really stick with them over the years. So that's the uniquely aspect of it, and then the relevance and efficiency. So that's the what, and that's really when you buy something, or you someone want to engage, you want to hire someone. It really comes down into three things, which is value, time, and money. So, for example, if you think of Netflix, let's just take Netflix for a great example of a great innovative company. Uh, Netflix compared to Blockbuster, they had better value, right? I mean, you have really a whole library of movies that you can never found into a single Blockbuster, into very different movies of all over countries in all languages. So the value in itself is much more valuable. The time, so time or speed, that's kind of synonym. It's the productivity aspect. It's much more easier and faster to just click on one button, and then you have access to all of that. You don't have to take your car and go to the Blockbuster store, and then make the line, or come back because your favorite movie is not available. So they beat also Blockbuster not only in value, but also in the speed of getting access to their product. And if I'm a movie enthusiast, that's really what I want. I want movies, faster, better, cheaper. And that's the last component. It's the money component. It's that for if you were doing three rentals of movies per month, you were paying back your Netflix subscription. So it's pretty much as cheap as Blockbuster, even cheaper. So on every level, they were beating Blockbuster, and that's why within a couple of years, Blockbuster went bankrupt. They were all over USA and Canada, and they just went bankrupt in a matter of months, because they were not able to compete onto those three fronts. It's the same thing also if you're an employee or you're trying to build a business. Is to think, how can I maximize value, time, and money for my consumer? And it's really important to have at least two. If you're really great, you're going to have three, but if you have only one thing, so if you say, well, I'm very expensive, and I take a lot of time, but I'm very valuable, you better bet that you're very, very valuable, because the chances are that you're not. It's nothing against you. The chances are that you're not going to be as valuable as you think, and a lot of people can replace you, and to stay relevant over the years is going to be very, very hard. Same thing goes also for time, the speed. Chances are that AI is going to replace you for speed. If you just say, I'm very fast at something, AI is going to pretty beat you on that front. And money, well, that's one of the argument also we hear about AI, is that it's too expensive. But I stated at the beginning, it's just a matter of when those lines going to cross. And at some point in every industry, there's going to have a point where buying a robot is going to be cheaper than hiring someone. We already see it in manufacturing, in automobile, for example. It's been 20 years we've seen that. So it's happening. It's going to continue to happen. So you really need to have at least the two of those elements to really stand a chance against AI, or just to maximize your competitive advantage. And then there's the universal principles. And my goal, I'm going to break down those universal principles. I think universal principles, I just went from the basis of where we come from, who we are, and where we're going, and kind of where we're going into a world where AI is doing a lot of the things better than what we do. And where could they be better than us, and where can they going to have more struggle to be better than us. And I've come to those six things, and they all start with the letter C, just to kind of remember it easily. But it's critical thinking, creativity, connection, collaboration, capital, and coaching. So critical thinking and creativity, it's really based on the self. So it's really, it's the left and the right part of our brain. Is the logical, the current assessment of reality. That's critical thinking. And then your imagination and all those great creation that we made. That's the creativity part. And then also you're gonna have where you enter into another layer when you're gonna have connection and collaboration. So connecting, communicating with people, and collaborating to make great things, because there's so much you can go by yourself. You need people and to create great things, and that's what makes us successful as a species, is the power to really have a one common goal. So connection and collaboration is really great. And all of those four things, kind of what glue together, if you could say, is the capital. So money. Money can get a bad rap sometimes, but it really a clear pattern of you've seen where capital and money and exchange of goods really started into our history. That's where we had a lot of innovation going on. So capital, I see it kind of this thing that glue everything together, that really going to ensure prosperity over the long run. And coaching is the idea of mentoring. It's the idea of of the tutor, this kind of single source of truth, of reason, this impartial guidance that will help you to really align with your priorities. It's almost like a religion, for example. It's really look at someone and say, okay, we've done all of those, we've put all those great thing at work, but sometimes there's problem arising. We need someone that is impartial, that is neutral, that's going to help us. So it's kind of an overview of those six things that I think a lot of people should focus on, and what the education system also should focus on. I'm going to go over one of all those six things, in a way where I kind of describe what it means into the workforce, what it means on a personal level, what kind of jobs also we can think on that really utilize those skills, those values, if you could say, and what kind of technology also that could be used to leverage to kind of empower those principles. So let's start with critical thinking. Critical thinking for me is the clear and accurate assessment of reality. So reality can be a multiple of it could be a multiple possibilities, right? It has multiple interpretation of reality, but there's really just few interpretation that are true. So critical thinking is really that, it's thinking from first principle, evidence-based decision making. Is really to look at reality and say, okay, reality can be this, could be that, but what could be the most possible outcome? And that's really what it's the first basis before going to anything, is really look at the reality and make a clear assessment of, okay, I understand reality, I understand what makes my reality, my environment, and start up from there. So on a personal level, that self-awareness, reflection, judgments, to know who we are, what people around us are, what kind of environment I evolve in, and really make a clear assessment, as I say, a clear assessment of reality, so it lays the foundation to go upward after that. So it's really, when you think about it, it's the engineer of our world, it's the analyst, it's the journalist. I'm going to get to that in a minute, but it's really those kind of people that really they think, and they really try to make it clear, and they really care about the truth. They really care about make a truthful version of reality, as close as possible as a truthful reality as you can. And kind of technology also that really utilize this is data analytics. So if you're really into technology, data analytics is already the critical thinker over time. They look at a bunch of data, they put it and analyze it, and they try to make conclusion after that. So it's really a great way to utilize that data to really paint a clear picture of our reality. After that, we have creativity. So you have all this information in your head. You kind of assess what are possible outcomes that you could create. But then after that is to envision a feasible future state. So you have all those possible realities, and you kind of prioritize them into things. Okay, I could work on this, or I could do that. Now, what can I utilize all the information, the knowledge that I've acquired, and create something with that? So it's really about problem solving. It's to be flexible and conceptualizing, and going to different concept, and have really this kind of global aspect to it, is to take every information and put it into one single thing. So on a personal level, that's where we find meaning, creativity in your work. You need that to have meaning. If you don't have a creative job, the chances are you're going to really find meaning, because you're not going to be able to project yourself into the future. And we always need to project ourselves in the future. You can paint a picture of reality, but if you don't envision a future state for yourself or your company, isn't you're going to be as competitive as you can. So you really need to put those things, to take the information that you have and try to create a vision for yourself. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just to create a vision for yourself. So to enhance creativity, we need to learn that, because that's one thing that could really envision, that could really compete against AI. AI is really great at analyzing, but to envision a future state, not so much. So that's the entrepreneur of our world. That's the one that's going to take a problem, and they're going to really say, okay, I have a vision to solve that problem. It's the designer. It could be a designer in the sense of video game designer, graphic designer. It's people that they have an idea, they're going to put it into a physical form. It's a product owner also. It's maybe not a term that you're familiar with, but the product owner really acts between the programmer, so more into the critical thinking side, and the business people when they're trying to create an app. They understand the problems, they understand the technical aspects of it, and they can create a vision for the product. So sort of technology that utilize creativity, I'm going to see more and more into the coming future, is 3D engine. So for VR, for video games, 3D printing. So again, envisioning a product, going to have more and more product created by 3D printing, and editing software, whether it's in video, in text, or image. A lot of editing software are utilized to create a vision for a company or for yourself. And then we have connection. So there's so much you can do by yourself. That's all in your head. Critical thinking, creativity. You have all those ideas in your head. Now you need to go out in your world and manifest your vision into the world. So it's the idea of communicating, exchanging, and visualizing. So you need to really take advantage of that, to say, okay, I have this idea. Now let's go into the world and be transparent. I say vulnerable, because it takes a lot of courage to have your ideas and put into the world and share with people. But that's the first step into manifesting and creating your vision, that your vision become a reality. So you need to go out there and put yourself in the world, and really say to people, hey, basically, I exist. That's really what you want to create. And that's the people, from, for example, in marketing, in sales, or in content creation, right? And if you see like audio, video, chat, social network, CRM, so customer relationship management, we're going to see more and more influx of capital into those technology, because those are the technology that connects us. And really connecting, we've seen the power of it. I mean, if you look at social network, how it just changed our society in the past 10 years. A lot of capital is going to go into those areas, and I think there's a lot of opportunities to really understand those technologies, because that will enhance your connection, and then it will create. We're better when we are with people, and those are kind of the first foundation to connect with people. And then after that, well, there's the collaboration. So it's okay, I have those ideas. I manifested it in the world. Now you're gonna have feedback from people and say, hey, I've thought about that too, or I thought about that but a bit differently. So it's execute strategies to have a plan, to organize, align, integrate, to really work as a team, so you can materialize your vision. And that's where I put EQ, which is emotional intelligence, accountability, leadership. Those are the kind of things that we really need to embody to create great teams. If we don't have that, then we're not going to have a great team. If we don't have a great team, then we're not going to have great competitive advantage against AI if we just work alone. If you think of jobs that really utilize those collaboration skills, is coordinator, manager, a specialist, or a subject matter specialist, someone that is really, really great into a subject, but I can collaborate with different business units, so it can manifest the vision. It can really contribute to the manifestation of the vision of the product or the services you want to create. And a lot of technology that you're going to see into those fields is work tracking, project management. So those are kind of technologies that really start to really integrate. When we talk about integrating, it's going to help to integrate all this collaboration into one software, so everyone is on the same page, and that's going to really help into your productivity over the long run. Then we have capital. So again, I repeat, capital might have a bad rap, and there's all the reason to have a bad rap nowadays. This seems to give the financial system seems to give more and more reason over the years, but it's still very a way to ensure profitability and prosperity. So you have all of this team working together into the product, but if you need to have money to incentivize people to work into the right place. If we don't have money, we're not going to have also the power of leverage of money. So I'm not going into in detail into economics course, but just to give you economics 101. A lot of things that helped us in our growth was the fact of taking money and giving it to, let's say, a bank, and that bank's gonna give us more money so you can enhance your project. And that's just a power of compound interest. And Naval Ravikant, a great guy, great entrepreneur, said that all the great things comes in life comes from compound interest. And I think it's very true. The power of compound interest is really, really the foundation of our civilization, and what created us to be able to project yourself even better into the future and think, okay, I don't have the money now, but if I can found that money, I can start and create that project. So capital is very, really important. It's important to learn. So this idea of accounting, finance, economics, those kind of people, they're really still really important in our society. And one of the skills also that it helps you when you understand capital is you're gonna have this skills of really being risk taking, have patience, but risk taking, but with preparation. So you're gonna do a lot of the work, all the things that you've done in the past with critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication. You're gonna be prepared. Your strategy, and you know where you're going, and you're going to be able to take a risk, but calculated risk with patience, going to pay off in the long run. And those are great qualities for a great civilization. And I think that capital really enhance those values. And in the sense of capital, also, there's a really interesting thing that I think is going to counterbalance a lot of the mistrust that we have in the financial system. So fintech, DeFi, so decentralized finance, and also e-commerce, so the possibility to sell your product without a middleman. It's really the idea is to cut as much as you can of the middleman, and I think there's a really, really great opportunity into those fields. So I would be very onto the lookout for that. And then you have also coaching. So like I said, coaching is the impartial source of truth used for guidance. So it's going to be the one that's going to track your work, it's going to prioritize your work and try to improve your work. So there's a lot of can do alone. There's a lot of can do also with team, but it's not painted with roses glasses, in the sense that sometimes problems arise, and we need this kind of person that is neutral, that have a lot of experience, that all of us as a group, we can agree and say, okay, let's ask our mentor, let's ask this person, how can we resolve our problem. So it's almost kind of sort of a religion sort of aspect. Religion really add this kind of purpose, is to have this single source of truth, and it's not veritable, it's not the real truth, but it's still for people this source of guidance that they can look up and really have this sort of moral skill set that will come with it. And I think it's really important in society to always have this sort of coach, this mentor. I mean, it's the Yoda, it's the religion, it's everywhere in our culture. This person that's going to look after us and really guide us into the right direction. It's going to be supportive. It's going to be a trusted advisor. It's going to be focused really on what's the clear path, and he doesn't have really a skin in the game. So he's not going to be, partial towards your actions. Really going to look at more of a best practice sort of mentality, and how can he help you, achieve your goal. So those are the teachers of our world. Those are the executives who are really the high management, that they have a lot of experience, or advisor. I mean, in a sense, like I'm a consultant and digital transformation consultant. So that's kind of my role, also to look at a company and really say, I don't have anything with your company. I'm just looking at as a term of a industry best practice. Here's how you can improve your company. So it's really this impersonality that is going to be very useful for those teams to move on over time. And technology in a sort of in a way, you can think of ed tech, so education technology. For example, Coursera, that is a website that really democratize teaching. That is really interesting. You have also a lot of companies that start to have those sort of teaching program into their company to upskills their workforce. AI in itself is as a coaching ability, because it's really impartial. It's going to look at you and kind of give a prediction, or give ways to improve yourself. And ERP also, so enterprise resourcing planning. Those are kind of a more old school technology, but I think it's going to have a lot of opportunity into that field, because they're really really old school. I think there's a way to improve it. So those are, again, just technology. I didn't put everything on there, but just sort of technology that I think are really promising into the future, and that we all should all pay attention to it. So just to conclude in itself, I think those are already the main thing that are important. And those things, if you kind of notice, they have a lot of relation with what we call emotional intelligence or soft skills. And I kind of hate the term soft skills, because they're not soft skills, they're human skills, and they are really important skills. They're really the new standard, and that's what I meant. It's like IQ is no more the standard. Let's focus on EQ, emotional intelligence. It's really the thing that we should be focused on. I mean, I think because of pride, maybe that we lag with certain skills that we teach our child. But even I'm 25 years old, and when I was young, I remember that counting in your head, making multiplication and subtraction and all that in your head was something that was valuable. But yet you had calculators for 60 years, 70 years, and even before that, but on the mainstream level, calculators were mainstream. That's my point. And still we're learning things that were no use. Now it's kind of goofy now to think that if you count in your head really fast, you're intelligent. We're past that. But there's still a lot of things that are memory based, that is taught into your school, and that is no more relevant, because memory, on the memory base, AI is always going to be able to beat us into that front. And I think that's why also we have a disengagement from the education system. I mean, a lot of, I've been into the education system for, all my life. And most of what people also like about the education system, especially on the post high school level, it's the parties. And that's a great thing, but they should be also really passionate about learning. And I think it's starting to be lost, because, well, it's just because there's a big gap between what we learn and what we know is being utilized into the workforce. And then it's even more shocking when a newly graduate go into the workforce and then realize all of what he learned is not relevant. And after 5 years, all of what he learned, he just forgot, because there's no way you can possibly fit everything that you learn into 20 plus years of education just into your head and remember all of that. So it's not relevant anymore. So that's why you have a lot of disengagement into the education system. And also other things that are challenges, I think, for society, and beside AI, that we should really focus on. And I think critical thinking, creativity, communication, collaboration, connection, all of those things will really help. Also with that is this distrust in journalism and business system. I mean, we have more and more. There was a recent poll that journalism was one of the most distrusted profession, and that's really saddening, because, as I said, they should be the critical thinker of our time. They should be the people that bring us the fact and really guide us. And if we have a disengagement for the education system, if we have a disengagement or distrust from the media and the businesses, they're they're such an important part of our society that if we don't trust them anymore, then we lose a lot of values. And that's really what you see also is the increase of use of sophistry. And sophistry is the use of lies just to make a point. And we can clearly see it in a lot of sphere of our life, whether in education or in media. We see a lot of people incurring lies just to tell the truth. And that's something we need to stop. We should really focus on being as truthful as reality as possible, and really communicate openly and transparently with one another. And we're starting to lose that, and that's really unfortunate. I think we should really focus into those universal principles that I just talked about. In that way, that will stop those kind of problems that we see. I think they're already at the core of those problems that we see. And kind of in finishing, and that's really an open ending, and you should, I encourage you to go read Nietzsche's for that. But Nietzsche's, which is German philosopher, said God is dead, and kind of manifesting saying in around 150 years ago, he stated that God is dead. And what he meant by that was the, we lost, because we lost engagement, or we lost the values with religion. We have also lost this sense of morality and meaning. And I think that's really the precursor of what we see, what we have right now in society. We lost a lot of the morality that we have, or a loss of the meaning that we have. Reality can be interpreted in very different ways. And we don't, we have a lot of distrust into institutions, but yet doesn't seems like a lot of people care about this distrust in this in institution. They kind of laugh at it, and they kind of think that's not really important, but it's so important. Those are the core of a society, and we need to change them and improve them, and not just put fire to them and just like throw the baby with the bathwater. We need to try to improve them. And that's kind of my message I will end with you, is to say, focus on those universal principles, really focus on those things, and try to help also those foundation of our society, whether it's in your school or in your job. But be as close as the truth as possible, be as close as reality as possible. That will lay the foundation to create a great foundation for our future. And our future is not going to be really easy with AI. And if we cannot if we cannot win into those front, then we're not going to be ever able to win into the front that AI is already winning, already outpacing us. So to finish and conclude, I would say, but be hopeful, because even though I may paint a dark vision of our world, it's not. I think really great things are gonna come out of this, of technology. It's gonna make us better, and we're gonna be there in 100 and 1,000 years, and we're gonna be stronger than ever. But we need to attack those challenges. We don't need to lose hope. We've just passed a very challenging time. That's needless to say. We need to get up from those, rise from those ashes, and really start to rebuild our society. I think it's a great time to rebuild society, and really to say, okay, let's focus on things that went wrong during this pandemic, on those social points, and we think, how can we improve it? And that's just my contribution, how we can improve it. And I just think that we all need to ask ourselves those questions. So that's it. That's my contribution for you today. If you want to just exchange even more about those subjects, follow me on LinkedIn. Just connect with me on LinkedIn. It's really where I engage most of the time, and we can just collaborate together and talk about those issues. And I think we have a great future ahead of us, but we just need to start collaborating and communicating together to build it even stronger. So thank you.